The easiest way to get fired as a remote worker, and I say this as someone who has had to fire people, don't work the hours you signed up to work, which is probably the easiest way to get fired as a not remote worker. And it's probably the biggest problem that that I've seen, and I think it's the biggest problem you see with people who are not working remotely too, right? If you're working at home, let me define work, because sometimes people go, I can work at home and take care of my kids at the same time. If you're at home, you might think, oh, I'm working, I'm here. But if you're answering customers' calls, that means you can't be texting your best friend, you can't be checking Facebook, you can't be making your child lunch. And I've had very unpleasant meetings with people I had to fire, telling me, you don't understand, I have children. Well, I have 4 children. And I also need you to do work. So if they're small, you need a babysitter. So the idea that working from home is going to mean you don't need a sitter, you need a babysitter during the hours you work, period. Now, some jobs vary in their flexibility, but they're probably not as flexible as you would like. Here's the thing, when my kids were little, as most of you probably know, my husband was sick and then he passed away, so it was just me and the 3 kids. And I told them, now Rhonda was the youngest at the time when Ron died, she was 8. And I told them, unless there is blood dripping on the floor, do not come into this office. And 8, 9, and 12, they were old enough to understand that. But if your child's 3, you can't, I just don't, maybe you have the best behaved 3-year-old in the entire universe, but I just don't see that as a realistic possibility. So if they're small, you probably need a babysitter during the hours you work. If they're older, you may, like Ava, there's 12, Amelia's 9, you might be able to get them to understand they cannot interrupt you when you are working. And my children did learn this, but you have to be really strict on it. And it's, there will be tears and laying on the floor and getting a job if you haven't been working for a while is an adjustment for everybody. And I bring this up, like Melissa said, sitters was the big thing. One good thing about remote jobs, I wouldn't have felt comfortable leaving my kids at 8, 9 years old home alone for hours on end. But I did feel comfortable being in the house and telling them, look, don't come in here unless something's really serious. And usually you're working a job, you're going to have breaks, you're going to have lunch. So it's not like you can't see them for 8 hours. And it's probably a little bit good discipline for them too, to realize trying to handle your own issues. A misconception people have is, well, it's flexible hours. Well, we have flexible hours, right? But what I mean is flexible hours is you can pick your hours anytime between work hours, Central Time and Pacific Time. So you can start at, say, 7 a.m. Pacific Time, which is 9 a.m. in the Midwest. You can start at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, which is, or Central Time, which is 9 a.m. here. You can start at some time reasonable. You can't do your work between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. because we don't have any schools calling us then. If you say you're going to work 9 to 12, Monday through Friday, I expect you to work 9 through 12, Monday through Friday. And if I call at 10:30 and you don't answer the phone, I'm going to be really irritated. And if it happens too many times, you're going to be out of a job. And I say this because this happens all the time, and this is why people lose their job. Most remote work positions have a way of tracking you. So they can tell if you are actually doing the work or not. Often they have, especially the ones that send you a computer with all the software installed, they may be able to see what's on your computer screen. So they know if you're at the computer or not. So not only can they see, and you may say, oh, well, I'll just be smart. I'll put whatever the software up is I'm supposed to be using and then leave. Well, they have a way of tracking that as well. So for example, we pay people to test games. So for every game we have that people are testing, I can go into this database and I can see if Maria was supposed to be testing and she said she was. This tells me that the last time Maria logged in was 2 years ago, obviously.
She lied.
I know, right? And I can look at that for every single game. So if you say, oh no, but I wasn't testing that when I was testing this other one, I could go ahead and look at that one as well. So most of these remote jobs have some way of seeing if you've been doing what you said you've been doing. If your job is to answer email, they can go in and look at the emails and see how many you actually answered.